this negative video.
Just breathe. We both took L's this month.
Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. We just got paid. It is Saturday around 9-ish p.m. and I'm a little late making the video, but I did want to hurry up and go through my budget with you so that we could close out April and move on to May. So if you're into that, please stay tuned. But if you're new here, my name is Bo. I'm 32 years old and I'm living in Seattle, Washington on a journey to reach $1 million net worth before retirement age. If you're into that, welcome and please stay tuned. To start, we're on our goals page. We still haven't met anything outside of our savings goal. The investing goal I expect to meet sometime in Q2. As for no spending over $404 monthly, I don't know that that's gonna happen anymore. Honestly, I'm thinking about canceling this goal because I haven't succeeded in it outside of January. And then my fourth goal to become monetized on YouTube is very slow going. Maybe we'll be able to reach it by the end of the year, but as of right now, only one goal has been reached. So let's move on to our bills to see where we are in terms of that. So the rest of our bills did come in. Netflix came in at $29.77. Blog came in at $4.48. Groceries were $118. So overall, we were a little bit under budget there. And then Orca was $20. And I already put my next month's rent in for May because we put that to the side after we got paid today. And as you guys can see, it is at $1446.5 just because there's like a prorate thing when we renew our lease. So after May, it'll go back down to $13 because our rent was only raised $40. Moving on, we can get into some housekeeping items. Our savings goal, I initially put $1,000 in to my savings goal for my sinking fund, and I took that out because I actually need to use it for our cabin trip. So we're spending our sinking fund right now on some down payments and some preparation for the cabin trip that's happening in May. For my investment goal sinkings fund, I did invest $1,000. So that brings us to a total of $9,000, $166.67 invested. And our goal is $12,000. So a little bit under $3,000 left to go. And I don't see an issue with meeting that goal by the end of the year. Okay, so I had 3 goals this month and I met 0 goals. I spent way more than I spent in March because some things came up. I didn't save $2,500 this month. I only saved $1,000, and I didn't keep my miscellaneous spending below $400. Actually, I doubled that. So these are all X's. I did not meet a single goal this month, even though my middle goal is like my standard goal. It just didn't work out, and you will see why soon. So here is my monthly budget. As you can see, I added some stuff in there in this area because we did use our trip fund, my sinking fund. I remember last time I used my sinking fund for a vacation, I believe, and I was super confused on how to incorporate that back into the budget that made sense. So I didn't include it and it just didn't add up. And one of the comments said that I should add it back as income when I do use it because technically you're not in a deficit. It was saved for this occasion. So that's what I did. And I still busted my budget. So I'll show you how in a second here. So in my income box, I made $5,777.65 this month. And that is because of my sinking fund. So if we only add my 2 checks plus bank interest, I will have made was $5,065.31, which is crazy. So my total bonus or my total income raise turned out to be $60, around $60 per check. Not bad, but without the bank interest, I'm still not clearing $5,000 net per month because of how much is taken out of each paycheck in order to invest. So that's a little bit frustrating, but that is what we're dealing with right now. My bank interest really does bring me over that 5,000 mark, which is great. So I'm grateful for that. If you look into my savings box here, I crossed out high yield savings and put cabin trip. However, remember I did spend 700 of this, and then I invested 1,000 this month as well. So I wrote all of my expenses out. The biggest things that really just make no sense to me is my self-care. I only spent $4.48 on that, and it doesn't even matter because I'm still over budget. And then for pets, it ended up being $169 because I had to re-up on flea and tick. And literally one flea and tick pill is $69. One flea and tick pill is $69. So there you have that. It lasts for 3 months, and I just think I need to find a way to just buy a whole bunch of these so that we don't have to be surprised by this every single time. Lastly, my miscellaneous spending, I doubled it. I'll show you on this next page. And yeah, so that's where we're sitting with the numbers so far. Let's get into the spending. As you guys saw last time, I was at 285 and then 569. And then I ended up needing to go to the next page. And it ended up being 299. So 299 plus 569 ended up being $869 and 37 cents. So that is where we are for our $400 budget. We are at $869 and what was it? 39 cents, 37 cents. 69.37. So when I add all of that up, we're at $3,433.41 here. The total budgeted expenses were supposed to be $3,091.34. So that puts me negative $342.07. Budget busted by how much? I'm not sure. Let's see. So I spent 117% more than I should have. That's where we're at. So how did we get here? How did we get from, I'm gonna try really hard not to overspend, to spending double what I had promised myself. What's going on is that we have a cabin trip planned in July for some birthdays, and I paid for that cabin. I told you guys about that in the last video. And then I invited extra people to this cabin trip. So now it's like a siblings trip, and I paid for some tickets for people to come out. And so that is why we are so much over the budget. Am I mad about this? No. All I can really do is just try to do better next time. However, that is why we are where we are. On the bright side, the ticket was less than $250. So it is what it is. But yeah, I paid for plane tickets. I bought snacks for a friend who just had a surgery, and I also bought random snacks here and there in the past week. It's been a very interesting month, and so that is why my spending is the way it is. So there we are with our spending. Now let's go to the monthly wrap up. I've already pre-written everything out for you guys, so it won't take long at all. And as you can see, I didn't even color it because I filmed this late and wanted to get it done. So this is what we are looking like. Most of my money was spent on living expenses. So it's 26.9% of my income this month went towards living, whereas my leftover was 26.4%. And it's not completely true because most of that leftover is, like I said, for rent next month. So $1,446.50 is going towards rent, which means really we have about $143 or so left over for next month. So that's where we are actually with our leftover, but because it's still in my bank account, I am going to include it in this so it's not confusing. So if you look at the bottom here, it's asking if I achieved this month's goals. No, I did not. I did not achieve it. I'm just gonna put a big no. Why not? Because I spent my money. And once I get to a point, I'm starting to figure out that once I get to a point to where I'm failing or not meeting my not spending goal, I'm just like, F it. I saved what I needed to. I paid all my bills. I'm just gonna spend the rest of the money, and I stopped caring. So I never let it go to a point where my bank account hits zero, but I do overspend and bust my budget. And so that's what I did this month. And I was telling myself, it's my birthday month and we're gonna have so much fun in July, so who cares? Let's see if I care in the coming days. Where did I have the most trouble spending? As usual, I'm just gonna say spending, like I just said earlier. What did I learn this month by tracking my expenses? I have just a bad habit of giving up once I've overspent and spending however I want. So what have I learned about this? To try harder from the beginning. So I have found that when I spend a ton in the beginning of the month, and I don't give myself room to actually have money later on in the month, it's just setting myself up for failure. So maybe I'll try to be more careful with my budgeting and make it more even throughout the month instead of like the week before the month ends loading up on things that I'm going to be spending on within that first week of the next month. So that's what I've learned. I'm not gonna write it down. What could I improve this month? Honestly, my impulse control. Impulse control for sure. I don't regret any of the things that I did buy. However, I could have planned for this in the beginning of the year. Honestly, I could have, but every once in a while I get an itch to like go somewhere, and because traveling is so iffy right now, we're lucky enough to live in a state where we can just go to be in a cabin and be in the mountains. And so last minute, I'm always like, let's just do that. And I don't know, I could improve on that, I guess. So that is everything for this month. Not necessarily the most positive. However, I really don't know what else to say about it. So that's what it's looking like for this month. I want to know in the comments below how you guys are feeling about the month of April. Are you hanging in there with everything that we're hearing in the news? How was your spending? How was your savings? And what are your plans financially or not for May? That's what I want to hear in the comments below, and I will see you in the next video.